Okay. I'm Pavithra Mohan. I'm a qualified company secretary. Okay, I've been practicing here, and uh, today we are just starting with business communication, wherein we are trying to have a quick revision session. Okay, it's not a detailed one. We already had a detailed one in the month of June. So this is with perspective to your exam. We just have a quick revision. Okay, for the next 5 days, we'll just see how much ever is possible for us to complete, and we'll run through all the chapters. I'm sorry, my video is not available. I'm not sure what is the problem, but I hope my audio is available. If my audio is also turning off, or if there's any problem, kindly ping us so it will be easier for us to check. Okay, we'll ensure that the video is fixed by next class. Okay, so today's class. If you're not able to hear, kindly log out and log in. If everybody is having a problem, only then we will go ahead and restart the session. Okay, right. So in this class, oh ma'am, audio is perfect. Okay, fine. Thank you. So I'll just close the chat box because we have to complete the syllabus. Okay. If you have any doubts, kindly note down all the notes, all the doubts what you have. We will be clearing the doubts only in the last class, that is on the 21st. Okay. Till then, we will just go with a quick revision where you're trying to recollect all the things what we have completed in the class. Okay. So there are basically, by now you would be aware, because once we have completed all the entire syllabus once and for all. Now, in this class, we will just be doing running through all the chapters again. So the first chapter to 8th chapter, we will try to cover as much as possible. Kindly concentrate, don't get lost in between. If you are not able to understand anything, keep a notes or a book, just scribble down those points. At the last day, we will take all your revisions. Okay. So the first chapter is all about English grammar and its usage. So today we will try to cover the entire chapter and see what all comes in this chapter. Okay, so the chapter we have covered in detail in ICSI class which we had before. In that, if you have any doubts, kindly go back and see into your videos which is being shared. Okay, in this revision class, it will be a quick class which we will cover the main topics or the headings as such. Okay, so we have understood what is English grammar. So what is English grammar? We all know that grammar has a set of rules, and we are going to follow all these rules which is concerned with English language. So not just English language. If we take any language for that matter, be it Hindi or any regional language or any other foreign language, whichever language we get into, each language will have its own style and a pattern. Okay, so we have to follow these rules, only then we can understand a language better. Okay, ma'am, why BC business communication is important for us in CS? Yes, because after you qualify as a CS, we expect you to have good drafting skills. Okay, like you will be drafting the minutes, you will be drafting the board reports, you will be drafting many like shareholder reports, stakeholder reports. Okay, or within the organization you will be communicating, so you should be good in your language. You shouldn't find it as a difficult part. Most of you will be very good in your regional language but not in English. For that perspective, to give you the basic understanding of a language, that's why we have a chapter called as business communication. In this you will be understanding all the concepts in detail. Okay, so here what is happening here? Okay, we understood. Okay, English language is having a set of rules. So what happens with these rules? Here they have told certain words. Okay, just in this paragraph they have told a certain words, like the word beat, okay, or the word confirm. These words can be used in different formats. It can be used as a verb, it can be used as a noun, it can be used as an adjective, or again a noun, verb, or an adjective. So we'll first understand, if a word is being used, what are the different parts of speech. Okay, so what are the different parts of speech in which a word can be used? Parts of speech is nothing but noun, pronoun, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections. Okay, so all these concepts we will just run through once. So what was noun? We have made it very clear that noun is nothing but, you all would have played this game called as name, place, animal, thing. right? The same way, name, place, animal, thing. When we are playing this game, this 4 items what comes, that will be called as a noun. So in a sentence, wherever you are speaking or framing a sentence, if you are using name, place, animal, thing, like here, Rahul is a person, dog is an animal, park is a place, car is a thing, or noise is an idea. Okay, even an idea falls into noun. So these 5 items will be considered as noun. Okay, in noun, there are 3 types. So what are these 3 types in noun? The first one is common noun. The next one is collective noun. The other next one is proper noun. So what happens with common noun? Common noun is nothing but when it is common for all people or place or things, okay, that belongs to a particular class. For example, bank, it belongs to everybody, or a shop, it belongs to everybody, or a market, okay, that belongs to everybody. Then it is considered as common noun. Collective noun means it is not applicable to everybody, but it is applicable only to a group of people, okay, or to a group of crowd or group of things, group of name, place, animal, thing, to a particular group. If it belongs to, then it will be called as collective noun. So what happens with collective noun? It will be called as a batch, a college, like CSEET foundation batch, August exam. Okay, that is a batch. Okay, so you will be considered as a collective noun. This is what is called collective. Then you have proper nouns. So what are proper nouns? Whatever changes, these noun characters will not change. They will remain permanent, like Indian and Larson and Tobo, or India, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, any days, any months. Okay, so all these things will be considered as my proper noun. Okay, then after this 3 types of noun, then we get into a concept called as pronoun. So what happens in pronoun? Okay, what is the difference here? Now we understood what is noun. Then we understood what are the 3 types of noun. But pronoun is more importantly comes into wherein there is something called as personal or relative. What is personal? Personal is something which is me, or something that is I, me, you, all these things. What is relative? Which belongs to me, that is belonging to me, or what is belonging to me, that will be called as relative noun. Then you have possessional noun, wherein you're showing some possession. This belongs to me, or this is mine, this is theirs, okay, it's hers, okay. Like when I'm trying to tell about a particular product or particular thing that belongs to a particular person, then it will be called as possessive nouns. So possessive pronouns. So in pronouns, we have 3 varieties. That is personal pronouns, I, me, you, she, he, it, all these things. Relative pronouns, which will be like which, where, that, how, whom. Okay, so all those things will come in there. Then you have possessive pronouns, which will be mine, yours, hers, his. Okay, all these things. So in pronouns, we had all these categories. Then after this, you move into adjectives. So what is adjective? It is very simple. When I'm using one word before my name, place, animal, thing. Okay, name, place, animal, thing is my noun. Before my noun, if I'm adding some word to give more emphasis to my noun, that will be called as my adjective. Okay, so for example, Rani is a clever girl. In this sentence, Rani is a noun. Okay, but here I'm using a word called clever to give more definition to the quality what Rani has or Rani possesses. Or he gave me 6 books. Here, books is a things. Okay, so it is a noun. So before this noun, I'm giving a number. So it is giving me more emphasis as to how many books. Okay, so that's where we are going to understand that when a particular word is added in front of noun to give more emphasis to a noun, that will be called as my adjective. Okay, adjectives can also be compound adjectives. What are they? Like government financed project. Okay, so when I can use one word like clever, or I can use it as clever smart girl. Okay, when I use it as clever intelligent, both are synonyms, or clever smart, clever good. Okay, so when I'm using 2 words in front of a noun to express her quality, then I am using 2 adjectives. They will not be called as 2 adjectives, it will be called as compound adjectives. Okay, So with respect to with respect to noun, it is noun. In noun, you have three types of nouns, that is collective, common, and pronouns. And after that, you have proper nouns. After that, you have adjectives. Okay. So after this, we are gonna come to verbs. So what happens with verbs? See, some few people are asking doubts. Kindly note, we are not repeating the concepts because this is time constraint. If you have any doubts, kindly note this down and we will take it up in the last class. Okay. Then you have verbs. So what happens with verbs? In a sentence, if I want to express any action or feeling or thoughts, okay, when I want to express these things, the words which express those things will be considered as verbs. So what happens with verbs? For example, Rohit runs. So what is the action that he's doing? Runs. So run is nothing but a verb. The bell rings. What is the bell doing? It is ringing. Okay, ringing is an action. Okay, so that is what is called as verb. Then you have Ram is beaten. What has happened to him? He is hurt. Why? Because he's beaten. Okay, so beaten is an action, so that will be a verb. Broken, hurt, broken, sad. Okay, so all these terms which come into picture to express action or feeling in a particular sentence will be considered as a verb. So what is adverb then? Adverb is also simple. So as adjectives will emphasize the meaning of a noun, the similar way an adverb will emphasize the meaning of a verb. Okay, adverb is something which will give more meaning to a verb. Okay, for example, here they have taken very difficult. So difficult is a feeling. Okay, I'm not able to do this. It's difficult. So in front of difficult, if I use a word called very difficult, then it means it is a adverb which is being used. Here, the CEO is exceptionally sharp manager. So here, what is happening? Sharp is a quality. Okay, in front of quality, I'm using one word called exceptionally. So when I use a word called exceptionally, it will be considered as an adverb. Okay, so adverb is nothing but something that gives more emphasis to a verb will be considered as adverb. So something that gives more emphasis to a noun will be considered as adjective. Something that gives more emphasis to a verb, that will be considered as adverb. Okay, simple. Then you have the next thing is preposition. So what happens with prepositions? Preposition is nothing but it can be used in front of verb, adverb, or any other word. Okay, in front of this, if I'm adding one word which says where this particular thing is being placed, okay, whether this thing is placed above the roof or below the ground floor or in the basement, or it is placed right next to me, or it is along with the other things. Okay, when I'm trying to say where a particular thing is positioned, okay, that's what is called as preposition. So there are certain prepositions. What are the prepositions? About, across, ahead, along, at, away, over, around. So what it is saying, um, why did you take so long to reach here? Oh, I had to go roundabout. Okay, so I'm expressing my thoughts, saying that I had to go roundabout. So when I'm using a word which says why I was late, that is what is called as preposition. Okay, a positioning of a word and saying how I did that particular thing, or how something got lost or something. For that perspective, we will use something called as prepositions. Okay, next will be conjunctions. So what are conjunctions? Conjunction has two things. One is and, the next one is but. Okay, so here what is happening when I want to express a sentence? Okay, so instead of using two sentences, I can use two sentences, combine the two sentences with and or but and make it into one sentence. Okay, so when I'm combining two sentences and making it into one sentence with the help of and or but in my statement, then that will be called as conjunctions. Okay, conjunctions are nothing but when two sentences are combined into one sentence, it will be called as conjunctions. Okay, for example, you might also have conjunctions in pairs like neither nor, or either or, not also, but not only but also, or both and, whether or. Okay, so when you use words like two words in one conjunction, that will be called as correlative conjunctions. Okay, so in simple, conjunctions means and but. Okay, but correlative conjunctions means when two words are used in pairs in a sentence, I neither like this nor that. Okay, when I'm using words like that, neither and nor, then those words will be called as correlative conjunctions. So in conjunctions, we have two things, and or and but, and along with that we have correlative conjunctions. Okay, then you have interjections. So what are interjections? Interjections are nothing but when I'm using words like expressing my feelings. Okay, oh my god, oh is it, what happened, hi, how are you? Okay, so something like that. If I start expressing things and expressing my uh, strong emotions or feelings, okay, at that times we come into something called as interjections. Okay, a quick recap on what these words are. So first we did something called as noun. Noun is nothing but name, place, animal, thing. Then we had something called as pronouns. Pronouns are something which gives more emphasis. Possessive pronouns, proper pronouns, and all these things. Then you have adjective. Adjective is nothing but a thing that gives more emphasis to a noun will be called as adjective. Verb, feeling and action is called as verb. Adverb, adverb is something which gives more emphasis to a verb will be called as adverb. Then you have preposition. When I'm trying to express the positioning of a particular word, that will be called as prepositions. Then you have conjunctions. Conjunctions are nothing but and but. When two conjunctions are combined together in one sentence, it will be called as correlative conjunctions. Interjections are nothing but when I'm trying to express strong feelings or emotions like hi, oh, wow, God, oh my God, okay, oh wow, how is it? Okay, so when I'm using these words, it will be called as interjections. Okay, these are the parts of speech. I hope it's clear. Just a minute, a quick check. Interjections is being repeated. Okay, clear. Okay, I hope everything is fine. So we can go to the next topic. If you have any doubts, yes, I repeat again. If you have any doubts, kindly note down your doubts. We will take it up in the last class, which will be on 21st. Okay, so the next concept what we are going to understand now is types of voices. So you all would be very clear with this. The types of voices are nothing but two things. One is active voice, which is very direct, short, precise, and to the point. Okay, then you have passive voice, wherein they use little more words in that particular sentence in order to be little soft, indirect, not very harsh. Okay, okay, for this perspective we go with passive voice. So passive voice is generally used for drafting legal documents or any other articles and all these things. Okay, for that we go with passive voice. We don't go with active voice. But active voice is something where I want to tell something very directly, then I go with active voice. Okay, so what happens in active voice? For example, follow the traffic rules while driving. So that's what is called as active voice. But if I'm giving the same sentence in passive voice, how will it be? The traffic rules should be followed while driving. Okay, so when I want to explain somebody, I can do this. But when I have to give it as a rule or action to be followed, okay, like generally what you have it on highways and all, for that they can't give you all the explanation. For that perspective, they will go with something called as direct speech or very crisp and short instructions. That will be called as my active voice. If I'm using additional words to express my thoughts and feelings and be a little bit polite, then I will go with something called as passive voice. Okay, then that is your types of voice. Then you have something called as articles. So what are articles? Articles, you have three things. Okay, one is a and the. Okay, a and an will be called as indefinite articles, whereas the will be called as definite article. So very simple. In excuse me, articles means three things will come into picture. That is a and the. Okay, only three things. So a and an will be called as indefinite articles. The will be called as definite article. So what is indefinite article? Indefinite article is something where I don't know about whom I'm speaking. Okay, it can be a doctor. Okay, a doctor means he can be any doctor. I don't know who is he. I went to a doctor. Okay, I went to this doctor. I went to the doctor. Okay, some particular doctor. when I'm being very specific, I went to a hospital. Okay, I went to the hospital which is in Vittal Malya Road. Okay, something like this. When I give more emphasis to a particular place, okay, then I will use something called as the. When I'm very clear on about which doctor I'm talking, which girl I'm talking, which boy I'm talking, which place I'm talking. In those particular places, we will use something called as the. Okay, if I don't know about a particular thing, then I use a. If it is a word which is coming in front of any vowels, then I will go with an. Okay, so where does an come in front of vowels? Like A, E, I, O, U. Okay, so these words are called as vowels. Kindly don't go with the words that start with A, E, I, O, U. You have to go with the words how it is being pronounced. Okay, for example, I have lost a rupee note. Okay, a 1 rupee note. One is more emphasizing on N. Okay, so that's the reason why it is a and not N. Here, if you see, he is a honest man. Ho is something which starts with O. Okay, so you have to go with the pronunciation. As per the pronunciation, if it is giving, it is starting with any of a vowel, then you have to go with an. Okay, A and an will be used in this format. A for all alphabets, and for any words that starting with vowel pronunciation. In indefinite article, we go with the. Okay, the basic understanding. Then you have usage. Usage is something where we emphasize that, see, you will be very comfortable talking in your mother tongue language, okay, or an habitual custom will be there where you're very good and comfortable in explaining these things in your mother tongue language. But when you try to explain the same concept in English, you generally get lost. Okay, what you'll do when you're trying something in English, even there you will not go in detail. Okay, however is your mother tongue language, the same way you will try to duplicate this particular sentence what you want to speak. So when you try to duplicate a particular sentence, you will not frame the sentence properly. Okay, like if you see people who are first time English speakers or people who are just learning English, okay, so they will find it so difficult that they will understand what they are trying to convey, but what they are trying to convey will not be in the exact English language what they're trying to speak. Okay, so that's the reason why we have to ensure that we don't have our mother tongue or native language influence on our language. Okay, that's basically on another language what we try to speak. Kindly keep that in your mind. That is what is more important with usage. Okay, then we move with something called as tenses. So what happens with tenses? In tenses, we have three concepts. Okay, that is past tense, present tense, future tense. Okay, so how will I know whether it is past, present, or future? That is with the help of the verb. Okay, verb is what? Verb is an action or a feeling. Okay, this action or a feeling has different formats. If it is in present tense, it will be write. If it is in past tense, it will be wrote. If it is in future tense, it will be shall write. Okay, so you have to understand these concepts, because whether it comes, what is the verb in a sentence? Okay, the verb in a sentence is something that's going to give me more clarity with respect to which part, like which tense a particular sentence is being framed. Okay, I write this letter to my mother, so this is in present tense. I wrote the letter yesterday, it is in past tense. I shall write another letter tomorrow, so that's in future tense. Okay, so here again in past tense, present tense, and future tense, it is being subdivided into four categories. So what are those four categories? The four categories in present tense will be simple present, present continuous, present perfect, present perfect continuous. Okay, for example, simple present. So what happens in my simple present? I read a book. Okay, so when it is given as I read a book, it is simple. My verb is very simple. Okay, it is just saying I read. Okay, the next one, simple continuous. I am reading a book. So what is happening to my verb? My verb is something which is action, which is telling I am doing that particular activity still. So when it says I'm doing this particular activity still, then it will be called as reading. Okay, I have to study my verb. What is happening to my verb? Based on that, I'm going to take action. Then you have I have read a book. So have read. So read is a verb and it says I have read a book. Okay. So when it is I have read a book, then it will be present perfect. That means it is already being completed. So it will be considered as present perfect. Okay. I have been reading a book. Present perfect continuous. So have been, if it comes, have been reading, then it will be present continuous tense. That is, I am still reading and I will continue reading until I finish it. So always know, if it is simple, only the verb will be there. If it is present continuous, the verb will be followed by ing. If present perfect, it will be have read. If it is present perfect continuous, it will be have been reading. Okay, so these are the simple examples which they have given you in order to understand in present what are the four types and how you can understand that. Then you have the next concept, that is in terms of past tense. So what happens in terms of past tense? In past tense also it is being divided into four concepts. That is simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous. So what happens here? I jumped from the window. So if you see, the verb is completed. The action is completed. Jumped. I jumped from the window. So it is past. I was jumping from the window. Was is something which is used for past tense. So I was jumping. So it is past continuous because ing is being used. I had jumped from the window. So if you see, I had jumped. So it is completed. Okay. It means past perfect tense. So had completed, it is completely done. I have been jumping. That means I had been jumping. So if you see had been jumping, so it is something which comes and falls into past perfect continuous. Okay. So with respect to future tense, what happens? Future tense also same thing. Simple future, future continuous, future perfect continuous. So what will happen? I shall or will jump. So as of now I have not done. Sometime in future I will do. So shall jump will be considered as my future. Okay, perfect future or simple future. Sorry, simple future. Then it will be I or I shall or will be jumping. That is will be jumping. Okay, so that means it is future continuous. I shall or will have jumped. Okay, I shall have jumped, but I didn't do it. Okay, something like that. When you try to do it, it is perfect, future perfect. When you have I shall or will have been jumping, whenever have been comes, then it will be future perfect continuous. So the simple thing is, only when the verb is used, it will be simple. When the verb is being in a continuing tense, then it will be continuous tense. When the verb is completed along with have or had or will or would, it depends on the words which is being used, that will be perfect. When it says have been jumping, so been comes in front of my verb, then it will be called as my perfect continuous. So simple way where you can try to identify your um, tense where it falls. Okay, so I'll just check into the doubts column. If anything is there, I'll just try to update. So this is not a doubt exactly, but a query. This PDF is enough for the exam rate. Yes, that's more than enough. Okay, so no other doubts. Fine, we'll just go ahead. Okay, so now we understood what is tenses. We understood the four types of tense, three types of tenses. In each three type, there is again four types. Okay, so this is being covered with respect to tenses. Okay, next we are going to start with sentence construction. So what happens in sentence construction? So basically, what is sentence constructions? When a group of words are put together in a proper grammatical way, it will be called as my sentence. Okay, so how all a sentence can be framed? A sentence can be framed in four ways. That is, I can make a statement, I can pose a question, okay, or I can give a command, okay, I can instruct somebody or give a command, or I can make an exclamation. Okay, so in all these ways, a sentence can be framed. So what happens in a sentence? What are the different things sentence will be used? For example, let's say in a sentence there will be a subject, a predicate. Okay, what is a subject? What is a predicate? So subject is the item about which I'm going to talk. So let's say I'm going to talk about an apple. Okay, so when I talk about an apple, it will be considered as apple is the subject. So to explain something about this apple, I'm using different words in my sentence. This is a very tasty apple. Okay, this apple is very tasty. Okay, when apart from the word apple, whatever words I'm using there uh, to explain my subject, that will be called as my predicate. Okay, so subject means something which will help me to talk about a particular thing, that will be called as my subject. The other words which I use in my sentence in order to explain my subject, that will be considered as my predicate. Okay, so subject and predicate. The next thing that comes into picture is phrase. So what is a phrase? Phrase is nothing but it is not a particular way in which a complete sentence is completed. So we will do this in the next chapter. There you will understand it more precisely. Just two, three words, just like he went up the hill. Okay, we went above the hill. Like it's not a complete sentence where you have proper grammar, but you will speak in a particular way where you're trying to answer it. Okay, so that will be considered as phrase. In phrase you have three different types, that is noun, adjective phrase, or adverbal phrase. So what happens in adverbal phrase? First they have taken, so here he answered rudely. How did he answer? He answered rudely. Okay, rudely is the way he is trying to answer, so it was very rude. Then he answered in a very rude manner. So I told you already, rude is a feeling. Okay, so it's a verb. When I'm using a word in front of the verb, to give it more clarity, it will be called as my adverb. Okay, so adverbial phrase here will be very rude. Okay, then you have a noun phrase. So what happens to my noun phrase? Here my demat account has been closed. Instead of saying my account has been closed, I'm giving it more precisely, my demat account has been closed. I win a prize is my ambition. Okay, sorry, to win a prize is my ambition. So when I'm being more precise and saying what I want to do, that will be called as my win a prize. Okay, that is a sorry. So win a prize is a phrase. Okay, this entire phrase will fall under noun category. Okay, not just prize, but win a prize. That's my entire thought. What I want to do, the thing what I want to complete here is win a prize. So that's why it is called as a noun phrase. Then you have types of sentences. So those are the three things which we try to cover with respect to sentences and phrases. Okay. Then you have types of sentences. So what happens in types of sentences? In types of sentences, we have understood there needs to be a sentence, and then we need to have a predicate. So sentence and subject and a predicate. When subject and predicate come together, then it will be considered as a complete sentence. Okay, so in this sentence, if I am going to construct a group of sentences, okay, my first sentence will be called as my principal or main clause. Why? Now let's say this apple is tasty. Okay, this is my first sentence. The next one will be, this apple is tasty. It was grown in Srinagar. It was being transported from there using railways. This reached Bangalore on this particular date. This was being used for this particular purpose. Okay, when I'm trying to build a group of sentences with the help of my first sentences, that is called as my dependent or subordinate sentence. Okay, so the first sentence, which is being the heading of any particular paragraph, which gives more emphasis on what we are going to talk, that's what is called as my principal or main clause. The second and alternative continuing sentences, whichever gives more emphasis to that particular sentence, that will be called as my dependent or subordinate clause. Okay, so after this, what we'll understand whether it is a simple or a compound or a complex sentence. Simple is nothing but when one verb, okay, one independent clause, okay. Simple, okay, there's nothing. The courage won him honor. Okay, this courage won him honor. So this is a simple sentence. We are not using extra additional words. We are keeping it very, very simple. Then it is called as simple sentence. What happens in compound sentence? There are two or more sentences combined with the help of a conjunction. Okay, conjunction is and but. Okay, night come on and rain fell heavily and we all got very wet. Okay, so when I'm using 2-3 sentences, it was a night, it was raining heavily, we all got wet. Okay, instead of using 3 sentences, when I use a conjunction and make it into a compound, when I combine all those sentences and make it into one, that will be called as my compound sentence. Complex sentence is nothing but where you have one independent clause and a dependent clause. That is, the human brain never stops working until you stand up to speak in public. Okay, so I'm not using a conjunction, but I'm still using certain words, until, unless, and all these things. When I'm using these words and trying to explain certain sentences which are not easily framed, okay, which requires good grammatic understanding and usage, then it will be considered as my complex sentences. Okay, so there are 3 types of sentences framing, which will be simple, compound, and complex. Okay, then we enter into sentence construction. So how a sentence can be constructed? It can be constructed with the help of a noun or a pronoun in the beginning, okay, followed by a verb, and followed by that another noun or its equivalent in the end. So when I'm framing a sentence, I can use nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, and along with that conjunctions, whatever is required, I can use all these things, and based on that, I can frame a sentence. But to frame a basic sentence, we require one subject. Subject can be a noun, followed by a verb, followed by a object. Object can also be a noun. Okay, this dog is a very smart dog. Okay, this dog is very smart, and this dog is smart, and it's from particular place. Okay, so when I give a particular place and about a dog, those two will be considered as my noun. Smart will be considered as my verb. Okay, so these are the simple ways a sentence can be constructed. Then sentence construction is based on the writing kind of writing in question. So you can write it as loose sentences, which is generally the way in which we talk. Okay, you can make 3-4 sentences and keep it in a very loose construction way, or it can be periodic sentences where it is very empathetic, it gives more clarity, it is more precise, you will put in efforts and make sure that the sentence is completely done. Okay, so you can also use loose sentences or you can use periodic sentences. It depends on the way how you choose to write your um, uh, sentence. See, all these sentence construction will be required for, as I told you, for your drafting skills. For that, we are telling you how you can use the sentences. Sentence construction on the basis of length. It can be shorter sentences or longer sentences. So what happens if I'm writing too many shorter sentences? No, it won't be very good. Okay. For example, thank you for the order. The goods will be sent soon. The duplicate copy of the bill is enclosed. The payment must be made early. Okay, I'm using 4-5 short sentences. It doesn't show up to be professional. The same thing if I go with longer sentences. Don't go with all the sentences in one stretch. Okay, it may be a combination of, when I'm writing a paragraph, it should be a combination of short sentences, long sentence, all put together. Okay, I shouldn't stick just to long sentences, or I shouldn't stick to only short sentences. Well, constructing a paragraph, I should use both the things. Okay, that's what is very, very important. So kindly ensure while constructing these things, you're using both long and shorter sentences. Then you have paragraph construction. So what is the main important thing of paragraph construction? The next thing after learning what are sentences, the next thing you have to concentrate on how to write a paragraph. Okay, so when you're constructing a paragraph, kindly know that you don't get into too much of detailing. Okay, like 10 sentences should not be in one paragraph. Or if I have one entire sheet, the entire A4 size sheet, if it is a texted, like typed information, the entire one sheet should not have one paragraph. Okay, so kindly know that after 3-4 sentences, you break the content into paragraphs. Okay, so how paragraphs will be drafted? After I take 4-5 sentences, I give enter, I give one line space, then I go to my second paragraph. Then after that, again, I'm gonna give 4-5 sentences. Again, I'm going to break it, then give one space or one line space. Then again, I'm going to start with my next paragraph. So presentation of your information in proper paragraphs will definitely emphasize or give more importance for you as a writer. Okay, so whatever information you give, that will be considered in a more precise and considerable manner. Okay, then you have the next concept. The next concept what we'll understand here is prefixes and suffixes. So what is prefix? Generally, when a word is being used or added at the beginning of a particular word, then it will be called as prefix. When a word is added at the end of another word, it will be called as suffixes. Okay, so prefixes is something which is being added at the beginning. Suffix is something which is added at the end. Okay, so affix is nothing but additional word or something which is being added. Okay, that will be called as by affix. So what happens in prefixes? What are the different things in prefixes? So prefixes, just a minute. If my voice is not clear, kindly log out and log in. You will be able to hear. Okay. Okay, fine. So, with respect to prefixes, so what happens with prefixes? There are different types of prefixes. What are the different types? One is supporting prefix, opposing prefix, negative prefixes, reversative prefixes, derivative prefixes, place prefix, size prefix, time prefix, number prefix, class changing prefixes, and miscellaneous. Okay, so we will just see a couple of prefixes in each parts, so it's easier for you to understand. So what happens with supporting prefix? Supporting prefix is something where in front of one word, if I add another word, okay, so that word will be supporting the base word and give it much more importance. Okay, so it will give additional importance to that particular word. For example, let's say pro-choice, pro-market, pro-life. Okay, when I'm using a word called as pro, it is giving more importance. Okay, so then what is happening to the basic word, that is choice, market, and life? When I use something called as pro, it gives more emphasis. Okay, then you have opposing prefixes. So what happens in opposing prefix? When I use a certain word in front of a particular word, okay, it will change the meaning of the word. Okay, it will not be the exact synonyms and antonyms, but here it is going to give an opposite meaning of what it is supposed to be. For example, antibody. So antibody is something, I have a body, to work against that body we give something called as antibody. Okay, then you have antibacterial. So I have a bacterial problem. If I have antibacterial tablets, it will work against the bacteria in my body. Okay, or contra, contravene, all these things will come. Or counter. Counter is nothing but counteract or counter react or counter example. There is an example, for that I'm giving a counter example. Or counter attack. Okay, when I'm trying to do something opposite of that, then it will be considered as my opposite prefixes. Then you have negative prefixes. So what is negative? Negative is nothing but there is a positive word. Okay, there is one particular word. This word is actually being positive, but for this positive word I'm using one small prefix which is going to give it a negative meaning. Okay, so when it is giving a negative meaning, it will be opposite. It's not opposite, basically entirely negative. So it can be a word like amoral, a historical, atheist, asymmetric, or disloyal, disable, disarm, dishonest, etc. Or with respect to ill, illiterate, illegible, illegitimate, etc. Or imbalance, immaterial, immeasurable, etc. Or with respect to it will be irreplaceable, irregular, irresistible, etc. Or with respect to non, it can be non-interference, conformist, non-entity, non-nonsense. Okay, all these things. So when I'm using a particular word in as a prefix in front of another word which gives entirely negative meaning, then it will be considered as my negative prefixes. Then I have reversative prefixes. So what happens in reversative prefixes? I'm adding one word which will give the reverse meaning. That is, the entire meaning of that particular thing will be reversed. Okay. The action reversal, basically decriminalize. So there is a criminal activity. If I do a particular thing, it will be decriminalized. There is humidify. Humidify is increasing the like humidity in the temperature. Dehumidify is try to reduce the humidity. Then you have deselect. I have selected a particular thing. If I click on the same thing, it will deselect. So the action will be reversed. Or untie. I have tied something. If I want to untie, I have to remove it. Okay, so basically when an action has already been completed, if I want to reverse that particular activity, then it will be called as reversative prefixes. Then you have derivative prefixes. With respect to derivative prefixes, you have things which will help you to derive at a particular thing. So in front of a particular word, if I use one prefix, which is gonna basically help me to derive at a particular thing. Okay, that is what is going to help me with derivative prefixes. So with respect to derivative prefixes, it will be debug. Bug is a particular activity. Okay, like there is a bug in my system. So if I debug, what is going to happen? I'm going to arrive at something which is free of bugs. Okay, my system will be free of bugs. So if I go with defrost, it is already being frost, it is frozen. So if I do defrost, it will melt. Okay, so I'm going to do a particular activity which will help me to derive at a particular desired result. Okay, deplane, detrain, decamp. Okay, or disharm, dissolution, or unleaded, unmark. Okay, so all these things will help me to derive at a particular place. Then you have pejorative prefixes. This is basically where I'm trying to express what is my content or disapproval being bad or wrong or whatever. If I want to say I'm not okay with that, then it is called as pejorative, like miscalculate, misgovern, misspell, mismanage. Okay, so all these things will be considered as pejorative. Then you have place prefixes. Place prefix is something which is going to tell me where that particular thing or situation is happening. For example, how it is happening. Ante, before, antecedent or antechamber or anteroom, or circum, where it is placed, circumvent, around me, circumnavigate or circumlute, or it can be um, cisalpine, or it can be extracurricular. Okay, so what are these things which is happening around me, or where it is happening, what are the things, how it is being placed. For example, four, again, forefinger or forecourt, or it can be in, ill, im, it is indoor, impatient, inside, in debt. Okay, or inter can be interbreed, interfere, interject, things like that. Or intra can be intravenous or intramural, or intro, introvert, introspect. Okay, these are called as place prefixes, which is giving me more emphasis on the place where it is being occurring. Okay, then you have size prefix. Size is simple. Mega means very large, midi means medium, mini means small. Mini bus, midi computer, megaphone, anything like this. Okay, then you have time prefixes. Time prefixes can be the time, it denotes the time when it is occurring. So that is antenatal, antedate, or ex former, ex wife, ex president, ex student. Or for is foreknown, foresee, foretell, forecast. Or neo means new or recent, which is a neo-conservative, neoplasia, things like that. Okay, so where it is denoting the time and telling what is this particular action. Then you have number prefixes. Number prefixes again will be mono means single, monorail, things like that. Uni means again one. It can be unidirectional, unilateral, things like that. Bi is bicycle, bilateral, or di is dioxide, two things coming into picture. Duo also is again two. Tri is three. Triangle, triplicate, things like that. Quadra is four. Quadra can be quadrilateral, quadrangle, things like that. So all these things will be with respect to numbers. Okay. Then you have status prefixes. Status is again, if a particular position is being shared by two or more people, then it will be considered as status prefixes, which can be co-joint, Co, which is joint, that is co-partner, co-author, co-founder, or pro means a pro-counsel, pro-vice chancellor, okay, who's a deputy, or vice chancellor, vice president, okay. So all these people who are additionally sharing a particular responsibility, okay. Then you have class changing prefixes. Here what happens when a particular prefix is being added into it, the particular class of that will change, okay. Like be sledge, be witch, besmear, be whale, be little, be foul, berry dot, okay. Okay, so then you have miscellaneous prefixes which don't fall under any of these categories, okay. These prefixes, if it doesn't fall in any of the categories, any of the categories, then it will be considered as miscellaneous. For example, eco. Eco means ecology. It is a short form of ecology. That is eco-friendly, ecosystem, things like this. Or euro. Euro means euro rail, euro currencies, which is respective only to European zone. Then you have para, that is paralegal, paramedical, medical, things like that. Or you have quasi, which is quasi intellectual or quasi judicial, okay. So which don't fall under any of these prefix clauses, that will come and fall into our miscellaneous prefixes, okay. So prefixes are very simple. A word which is being added at the beginning of another word in order to change or give more emphasis to that particular word, that will be considered as my prefixes, okay. In suffixes, it is again classified into 4 types, that is noun suffix, adjective suffix, verb suffix, adverb suffix, okay. So what is suffix? When a word is being added at the end of another word in order to give that particular word more emphasis, okay. So what are noun suffixes? Noun suffixes are something when I told you what is noun, name, place, animal, thing. In these things, anyway, for name you can't use any suffix. For other things, when I use any particular suffix, it will be considered as my noun suffixes. Like, for example, what is acidity? Okay, sorry, acidity. I'm sorry, acidity will be the state or being, like adosity, capacity. Okay, or it can be ant, that is deodorant, oxidant, or things like that. Or it can be al, that is betrayal, dismissal, deferral, things like that. Or age, that is bondage, spillage, homage, postage. Okay, all these things. Or Asian or ion, that is inhalation, communion. Okay, things like this. Or CLE or CULE, like minuscule, particle, molecule, things like this. Or IST, dentist, florist, novelist, atheist. Okay, so when things like this are being added to a particular word, it will be called as my noun suffixes. Then you have verb suffixes. Verb suffixes will be FY or IFY or ISE or IZE. So ISE will be your British pronunciation, IZE will be your American pronunciation. Okay, so if it is FI or IFI, it will be purify, gratify, electrify, pacify, personify. Or ISE can be capitalize, modernize, popularize, okay, things like that. Then you have adjective suffixes, which is more like able, that is audible, uncountable, readable, things like that. Or again ial, that is accidental, managerial, musical. Or ed, cultured, heavy handed, talented, or things like this, okay. All these things where these adjectives are being used, that will be called as my suffixes, adjective suffixes. In terms of adverb suffixes, it will be ly and wis, that is wise, that is amicably, candidly, surprisingly, greatly. Or clockwise, notewise, taxwise, anti-clockwise, all these things will be my adjective suffixes. Okay, so apart from these suffixes, there is also one more thing called as combined words. So what happens in combined words? Combined words is simple, where two equal words are having equal importance. Okay, it's not just a small word, but it is a complete word which has meaning by itself. Okay, when it is being added with another word, then it is called as combined words. They are not called as prefixes because this word alone has a particular meaning. For example, arch means chief, archbishop, arch rival. Okay, so the word arch itself has its own meaning. When a particular word which has a proper root word and meaning, if that is being added to another word, then it will be called as combined words, not prefixes or suffixes. Okay, so when two words having equal meaning is being combined with one another, then it will be called as my combined words. Okay, like autograph, autopilot, biodiversity, biology, biography, cryptopherist. Okay, so when two words having equal meaning is being combined with one another, then it will be falling into a category called as combined words. Okay. This will be called as our combined words. Okay, just a minute. Okay, fine. So I was just okay. We can't go with full screen. If you're watching it on mobile, it will be relatively tough. But if you're watching it in your system, this would be completely fine. Okay. So with respect to punctuations, the next concept what we are going to understand with respect to grammar is the punctuation marks. Punctuation, when you want to express some thoughts, ideas, the way you want to express, because most of your communication will not be direct. Okay, so once you are trying to express certain things, you have to write it and send it across. Like if you're reading a novel, okay, you will if you have the habit of reading a novel, then you will understand author will use different types of punctuation in order to express his feelings. Okay, so when he is giving in a double inverted comma, it means a person is speaking. Okay, when he gives a interjection followed by 3 4 apostrophe marks, it means okay, he is more shocked, or he is more happy, or he is expressing some kind of a feeling. Okay, so to do all these things in a written format, punctuation becomes easy. If you are acting in a movie or something like this, okay, it becomes easy for you with respect to just saying how a punctuation is being used. Okay, the same way how a facial expression is being used, same way in written skills, punctuation will be very very important. Okay, so punctuation will come into picture. So what are the different types of punctuation marks? The different types of punctuation marks can be capital letters, full stop, hyphen, asterisk, paragraph, brackets, colon, dash, stroke, ellipsis, comma, exclamation mark, underline, quotation marks, bold emphasis, question mark, abbreviations, space, italics, apostrophe, semicolon, and numbers. Okay, so these are the various punctuation marks being used in English language. Okay, so how are these punctuation marks being used, and what are the importance? The first thing we will understand is space. Okay, so why is space important? We would have been understanding this like from the days when we started reading or writing, maybe from our kindergarten days or something. They would have always told us, once a particular word is being completed, kindly ensure one finger space is being provided. Okay, the same thing today is where we have a space button in our systems. Okay, after one particular word, we ensure a space is being given. So space is something which helps us to segregate these words and read them in a proper way. Okay, so space is very important. When I'm doing a paragraph, how is space being placed? So once 4 sentences is being completed, 4 or 5 sentences, however you want a paragraph to end, after that I have to give a particular space. Okay, the remaining part of the line, I'm not going to write anything. I'm just going to press it as an enter and come to my next line. Okay, so this is how spacing will be done, and spacing plays a very very important role when you're presenting any document. Okay, be it a basic drafting of letter, or be it a drafting of any report, or any appeal or affidavit, or whatever you're filing with the any departments or court or whatever it is. So spacing plays a very important role in which format you're trying to give the content. Okay, so space is, in that perspective, space plays a very important role. Then you have the next concept, that is full stop. Full stop is nothing but stop, point, or a period. Okay, so in English language they basically call it as a period, that is end of a particular thing. So full stop can be used in various ways, that is for abbreviations. So when you see Mr. MR dot or Professor PROFE dot, so for abbreviations, whenever we use it as a dot. Like for private limited company, it will be PVT dot LTD dot. Okay, so dots play a very important role. So that is saying, instead of writing the entire word, I'm going to give it as a dot. That means it's an abbreviated format. Okay, so APJ, we can give it as dots. Then you have the next concept, that is with dates. Okay, so even for dates, how we give it, it can be either dots, or it can be hyphens, or it can be a forward slash. Okay, so these are the different ways in which a date can be expressed. But most of the time, now, since you have taken up CS as a profession, in professional world, we always insist that you go ahead and write something like this. Okay, so kindly don't give dates like this going forward. Just give it as 10th November 2019, because few countries will follow DDMM or YYYY format, or few countries follow MMDD format. Okay, so we don't know which format they use, so it's always better we use a proper written communication way. Okay, then the next format will be where full stop will be used. It is in decimals. Okay, it can be for percentage, or it can be for money. Okay, units of money. When I want to explain, even there I can go ahead. So it depends where you want to use, and based on that you can go ahead. Then you have the next concept, that is omission of full stop. So today in most of the communication process, a full stop is being omitted. Okay, they are not going with the particular a completion of a particular statement with a full stop. So if you see for yeah, still with professor and all, we still use. Okay, we don't give anything like we don't avoid this particular word. Okay, but with respect to other words, okay, like private limited and all these things, there we are avoiding this particular full stop. Okay, we are not going with that. Like that, what are the things? For example, letterheads and envelope, letterheads and on the envelope. Okay, after addresses being, we are not going with a full stop. Or after dates, we are not giving full stops. After names that end with letters, like let's say Ajay HM. Okay, so or Asha LM. Okay, so when you have a particular thing like initials, for this also we just give space, and we try to avoid full stops. After title of a book, newsletter, heading, okay, like Times of India, we don't give full stop and all those things. Or with after acronyms, acronyms is nothing but the short form. So in acronyms also, we don't give it as full stop. A dot I dot D dot S. Okay, or G dot S dot T. We just give it as GST. Okay, so all these things will become important. Then okay, so after this you have words which form as abbreviations like WTO or GMT or BBC. Okay, when I'm using all these things, then also it will become important for us that we don't go and give it as a complete word. Okay, we just take it as a particular abbreviation, and we try to close it. Fine. Then you have short forms we don't avoid basically. So Mr., Mrs., Doctor, retired, limited, and all these things. For that, we still go ahead and follow. I told you, instead of full stop today, we just give a space, and there it is considered as a initial. Okay. After words like kilogram, seconds, hertz, square, kilometer, and all these things, even there today we are avoiding something called as full stops. Okay, so full stops is basically coming into these many components. Then you are entering into the next concept, that is comma. So as I told you, if I want to combine two or more sentences into one sentence, I can use conjunctions. Okay, so even if I'm using conjunctions and if I'm using 4 sentences to be combined into one particular sentence, it is always advisable for us to use something called as comma. Okay, so comma is something which will give emphasis for me to the main part and emphasize to the unwanted part, but like it is still important, but it is not going to be left out. Okay, so if that is the case, then comma plays an important role. For example, the house was almost in ruins, comma, but the tree-studded avenue was lovely. So conjunction, I've told you, and but will be conjunctions. Okay, so in front of conjunctions, it's always a good practice to always add a comma. Okay, then he is not rich, yet he is a generous person. So here you can just give it as he is not rich, comma, yet he is a generous person. Okay, so it will give more emphasis on the writing skills what you're trying to do. So basically, how does comma be used in English writing skills? To separate the main clause even when they are not linked by conjunctions. Okay, either you link it to the conjunctions or not, but still you're going to add a comma. The price, the higher the price, comma, the better the quality of goods. Okay, or before tags or questions. So before you're using any question mark or tagging or something, you can add a comma, or to denote words left out, like Romeo loved Juliet. So instead of giving similar way Majnu loved Laila, you can just give it as comma. Comma is something which, yeah, once you start reading novels, you will understand these commas are nothing but words which are being used in place of the word which is being missed out here. Okay, enclosed additional thoughts, qualification or information. If I want to give any additional information, instead of giving it as a new sentence, I can use it with comma. Then you have to set off direct speech. So if I want to give a direct speech, I have to give a comma. After that, I have to start with my inverted commas. So this we would have learned in our school anyway. So the same format here also. To quote something or to tell something, we always go with some items called as commas. So it becomes easier for us to identify who told what. Then after this, if I have other places where we use this, if multiple adjectives or multiple adverbs are being used, okay, to identify one particular thing, then I can use commas, like smart, reliable, sincere, and hardworking. Okay, I'm using multiple adjectives here. For that, I can go with comma. Or if I'm going with numericals, yes, comma will be important. Then if a particular person has multiple degrees or something after their name, there we use comma. Or the name followed by the designation of a person, we use commas. Okay, so for all these perspectives, comma will be very, very important. Followed by that, we go with the next concept, that is hyphen. So what is the importance of hyphen? Hyphen is to give more clarity to the compound or combined words. So I told you already what are combined words, like archbishop, okay, eco-friendly. So these words are called as combined words. Instead of using these words as one particular word, if you give hyphen, it gives more emphasis to your writing skills, like cooperate, okay, co-adjust. Okay, when I'm using words like this or any particular prefixes, it is always a good habit for you to use hyphens. Okay, hyphen will give more clarity to what you're trying to write. That's what, for some prefixes and words like half-truth, quasi-judicial, semi-government, or suffixes also at times, like profit-taking, self-financing, okay, like combined words. Main part of the speech when you're trying to give, like un-American, okay, America, you want to give more importance, then you can give a capital A. Or anti-Indian, I can't continue the same word, so I give a hyphen and then I give it as a particular Indian. Okay, I want to start Indian with capital I. So that's the reason where I go with something called these words, which will hyphens, which will give me more emphasis. Okay, then you have the main part of words being with capital, that's done. Then you have prefixes repeated. So if I want to give emphasis like sub committee or something like that, then when I'm using multiple prefixes of the same word, then I can use hyphens. Or noun and adverbs are being combined, then also we can use prefixes. So all these are the formats. Okay, just a minute. Two adjectives are being combined, even then we can use. Or when words express an or and relationship, okay, then we can give that. Where and is being left out, like deaf and mute, or bitter and sweet. Okay, when I'm trying to avoid that time I can give. Or compound numbers if I want to say, like in between 29 to 55, or 55 631. Okay, when I want to give any differences like this, at that time I can give starting and ending point like Delhi, Jaipur, or avoid confusion or ambiguity like Indian history teacher. Okay, Indian history teacher. Wherever you want to give emphasis on that particular word, you can go ahead and give hyphen. Okay, to prevent confusion between a new formation, that is recreation, reformed. Okay, for all these small words, you can go ahead and use hyphen, which will give more emphasis to your speaking, like writing skills. Okay, then you have semicolon. So what happens with semicolon? Semicolon is nothing but, let's say we are trying to write two or more sentences, but here you're not using conjunctions. Okay, even comma can come into picture, but still semicolon will come into picture where you're trying to have two independent clauses. Okay, I've told you already what is independent clause, what is subordinate or dependent clause. Independent clause is one which is going to be the first sentence. Okay, principal sentence. So when I have two principal sentences in a particular sentence, then I can go ahead and give something called as semicolons. Okay, semicolons will help us give more emphasis. Or when I want to give emphasis for everybody equally in a particular paragraph, or everything's equally in a particular paragraph, then I can go and use semicolons. Okay, then you have colon. Colon is basically used for three major functions. What are those three major functions? To introduce some kind of explanation. Okay, if I want to explain certain information, or give meaning to an information, or tell this particular person spoke about this particular information, then I'm going to give something called as semicolons. Okay, then to introduce examples. When I want to give particular example, I give a particular statement followed by what that particular word means. Like today they face another threat to their Bible, which is called as starvation. Okay, so these are all my writing skills. If I want to improve my writing skills, I will be using certain things called as my punctuation marks. To introduce quotations or introduce quotations, or direct speech, then also I can go ahead and use certain things called as punctuation marks, that is colon. Okay, so after this, okay, where all colons are used to point the reader's attention to a particular word, at that time we can use a colon. Or to introduce a number of items listed separately. So after a colon, I can give furniture, mics, amplifier, projector. Okay, there I can use a colon. Or to present a conclusion. Finally, at the end, what is my conclusion? If I have to give it as a punctuation or a high-end measure, then I can go and use it as punctuation marks. Then it can be to introduce a question. When I'm writing a particular statement and I want to, in that statement, if I want to introduce a question, there I can go and add it as a particular question mark. Then I can use a colon. Or to link contrasting statements, that is proposes, God disposes. Okay, when I have to give opposite words, even then I can use a colon. Then you have to substitute a conjunction. Conjunctions can be another Monday morning, colon, and it's pouring heavily. Okay, when I want to give two particular words in one particular statement, or two particular meanings in a one particular statement, then I can go ahead and use colons. Then after heading in correspondence, so subject, reference. Okay, when we are writing letters and all these things, at those perspectives we can use colons. Then you have to introduce subtitles, that is credit cards, that is plastic of power of plastic. Or past promises is equal to failure to deliver. Okay, so when I'm using any introductions or anything, those terms we can use. Or in bibliographies, in books and all these things, there they use certain things called as colon. Okay, then you have the next thing that is called as apostrophe. Apostrophe is hyphen, that's what we generally call it as. Here, to denote possession or other kinds of relation. If I possess something, or if I have control over particular thing, then I have to with certain things called as apostrophe. Okay, where apostrophe can be, this is Walter's book, or or if I'm going with contraction of words, that is, it was the quotes order. Okay, when I'm saying a particular thing, and if I'm giving a plural format, and in the plural format, if you don't want to give it as quotes, okay, it's not a good way of presenting. At that particular moment, you have to give it as apostrophe before yes. Okay, or if it is a combined word, is not, okay, isn't it a great day, okay, is not is being combined, and here o is being removed. Wherever a word is being missed out, there you can go with an apostrophe. Okay, word or a word or a letter. Okay, cannot you come, instead of that I'm giving it as can't you come today. Okay, over the hills, again here a word is being missed out, so there I will give an apostrophe. Okay, then you have possession of words. Basically the possession of words will come into possession or other kinds of relationship. Here the girl's dress, so basically if I give apostrophe before s, okay, that means dress belong to one girl. Okay, girls dresses, if apostrophe comes after s, it means dresses belong to many girls. So if I have to speak about a particular person, I have to ensure the apostrophe comes before s, and if I'm speaking about multiple things there, then I have to ensure the apostrophe comes after s. Okay, so this is one important thing which will be applicable to you where you're writing about company's law, or speaking about a particular company, it will be companies apostrophe, but when you're talking about multiple companies, then it will be companies followed by s, after that you will have apostrophe. Okay, so that's how you read an apostrophe. Then you have yeah, to denote certain names, especially of Celtic origin. So basically, O'Connor or McDonald's. Okay, instead of giving Mac, M-A-C, which means son of. Okay, Mac means son of Donald. So instead of that, you give it as Mec. Okay, so these words, when I'm trying to make it as a short form, then I will go with something called as apostrophe. Okay, then you have quotation marks. So what are quotation marks? So direct speech, indirect speech, and all these things we would have understood. Indirect speech, you don't require a quotation, but if it is direct speech, Ajay said, comma, apostrophe we start, quotation marks, and then we start writing this. Or if I'm giving a particular explanation of a particular word, or if I'm giving a punctuation mark, or if I'm giving any idioms in a particular word, particular sentence. Okay, when I want to stress on particular things in my sentence, I go with apostrophe or colon, quotation marks, double quotes. So when I give double quotes like customer is king, I can just give it in double quotes, or I can make it in bold and then underline, italics, whatever I want, I can use all these things. So quotation marks will be used for giving more emphasis when I'm writing certain things, like she said, comma, did he say diseased or deceased. Okay, so inside a double quotation, if I want to give any emphasis to a particular word, there I will be using a single quotation. Okay, uh, to uh, to enclose cited words or expressions. For example, what is the difference between an order and a degree? Okay, if I want to give emphasis to particular words, then I can use single quotation or double quotation, whichever is comfortable for me. Or um, to enclose expressions that the author does not take responsibility for, that is in good old days. Okay, so I don't know how those days were, but I presume it to be as good old days. Then you as a writer, if you want to emphasize, then you can add it in double quotations, okay, or single quotation, however you like, whichever quotation mark you can go ahead. Then you have the next concept that we are going to understand is brackets. Okay, crescent bracket is nothing but, generally we call it as round brackets. Then you have square brackets. So if I want to give any additional information in my particular statement, what I'm reading out or writing, so in order to add additional information which is not a part of that particular sentence, but still I feel if I give that particular information, it will be more valuable for people. Okay, if I feel like that, then I can go ahead and use brackets and give information there. For example, the number of candidates had the number of candidates had sent in their application. A number of candidates had sent in their application. But if I add this, I want to add this word unsuitable. Okay, but this I don't want to keep it without brackets because it will mean that suitable candidates are completely left out. Okay, a number of unsuitable candidates had sent in their application, so we got applications, but the applications which came were from unsuitable candidates. Okay, so when I want to emphasize on something like this, then I go ahead and use um, round brackets or crescent brackets. Okay, or information which is like abbreviations, to give abbreviations like Department of Company Affairs, DCA, or a Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA, or Company Law, CL. Okay, or Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSI. Okay, so when we are using certain abbreviations for the first time in our writing, then we give this. In the second paragraph onwards, whenever you are writing and going, then you can give it as the DCA, the DCA, the DCA, because the DCA means in the first principal sentence what I have used, the same thing they will look up to. Okay, to enclose a transaction or equivalent expression, that is a translation or equivalent expression, that is the agreement was void ab initio. So the void ab initio is a word which is a foreign language, so people will not know what is the meaning. So for that perspective, when I'm using a particular foreign language, then I can go ahead and use what is the exact meaning of that particular word. Okay, for that I can give it as from the beginning. Okay, if I want to give additional meaning, then I can go and use my round brackets. To enclose references from other topics in a particular subject, then it can be like in figure number 1. Okay, so when I want to add where I'm giving this particular information from, then I can add that information in a bracket. Or to enclose bibliographical references in my writing, if I want to add any bibliographical references, Delhi 2010, when it was written, or some information, then I can use round brackets or crescent brackets. Then you have square brackets. See, it's not mandatory that I have to use a square bracket or a round bracket, the same as maths. Okay, the square brackets will be given in the outer. Inside that you can give it as a round bracket if you're using multiple brackets. Okay, the simple logic is that. So here if you see Sarah and Tanisha, Sarah's sister, as mentioned earlier, went for a movie. Okay, so we don't know who is Tanisha. So Tanisha is nobody as Sarah's sister. Okay, as mentioned earlier, we wanted to give reference to somewhere in other paragraph or something. For that we couldn't give only as mentioned earlier. For that we wanted to give additional information who is Tanisha. For that we went with Sarah's sister. Here I'm using a square bracket. Inside that I can use a round bracket. Okay, this all depends on how you want to write a particular information. Okay, then you have other types of brackets, that is brace brackets, which is basically select your animal, like select your animal like goat, sheep, cow, horse. Okay, this depends on your writing style entirely. If you are interested in writing in a particular format, you can go ahead and use flower brackets or brace brackets. Okay, but angel brackets are basically very common today with respect to our hyperlinks. Okay, so when I'm giving any hyperlinks, it becomes easier for me that all my hyperlinks or web links, whatever will be provided, that will generally be provided with my angel brackets. Okay, so the concepts which we tried to cover so far in this particular punctuation marks was full stop, comma, hyphen, semicolon, colon, apostrophe, quotation marks, crescent brackets, square brackets, brace brackets, and angel brackets. Okay, so with this we are completing this particular chapter. I will just give you a quick recap. Okay, what all we covered here. So this was basically a crash course. Just a minute. So here we understood the different parts of speech. Okay, noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjections. After this, we understood the types of speech, that is active speech and passive speech. After that, we understood the different types of sentence formation, that is what is a subject, what is a predicate, what is a long sentence, what is a short sentence, how a paragraph needs to be constructed. Okay, so after paragraph construction, paragraph construction, we understood what is prefixes and suffixes. Okay, we went in detail, like in short, we tried to cover all the concepts. What are the different types of prefixes and suffixes? After doing prefix and suffix, we just went ahead with the punctuation marks, and we have covered all the details of what these punctuation marks are. So with this, we are covering our first chapter. With respect to classes, yes, we will be taking another 4 classes. How much ever possible, we'll try to cover in this particular syllabus. Okay, so you can, since there is another 2 minutes left, you can just let me know. Kindly don't copy paste your questions because I might miss out. Okay, isn't the pronunciation as angle brackets? Yes, it's angle brackets. Sorry. Okay. What is the difference between abbreviations and acronyms? I'll be taking it in the next class. Changes to come. Any questions from book? Ma'am, is there any changes to come? Any questions from book? I didn't understand your question. Will the recordings be available on YouTube? We have to check whether the recordings will be available, but the entire class recordings, what we did previously, those things are available on YouTube. You can go and check them. That is the detailed class what we completed. Then active voice, what is the difference between active voice and passive voice? Active voice is something which is very direct and very crisp, whereas passive voice will be relatively convertive speech, which will help you to understand or be passive, indirect in your speech. Okay, what is the difference between and but? Sorry, I missed out. What is the difference between and? I don't understand. And but are called as conjunctions basically. Recordings of the class, we just have to wait. Foreign words, will be doing it in the next class. In that you will understand. Foreign words are English words like ab initio, word ab initio, or from the beginning. Okay, Latin words, German words. When we are using those particular words, in order to give more example, you can go and use it in your brackets. Ma'am, there are some more parts of noun which are not mentioned in the module. So is it necessary to go through? No, what is given in the textbook, that's more than enough. Kindly understand this is more like a generic concept where you should know the concepts. Okay. What's the link to those videos? Links to the video, YouTube videos will be CSEET BC class or by CS Pavithra Mohan. Okay, ma'am, there are some parts of speech. Okay, that's done. Ma'am, the Viva part will be there or not? Instead of Viva, we will be having certain other details. I think you can call up your chapter and they will give you the update. Okay, there is no Viva this time for August. Difference between single quotation mark and double quotation mark. Double quotation mark can be used for any questions or any information what you want to give. Along with the double quotation mark, if I want to give any emphasis inside double quotation mark, I can use single quotation mark. Okay, but only for speeches and other things, a double quotation mark will come. If I'm writing a normal sentence, in that if I want to highlight something, I can go with single quotation mark. YouTube channel is ICSI. Viva Wars, mostly it won't be there for August attempt. You have to see because there is a separate paper as presentation and communication skills and current affairs. Okay. Will we get this lecture recorded? See, lecture recording, we already have the what do you call the entire class crash course what we did in the month of June, that is available on YouTube. You can go and check that. Might be next class I will give you the link. I'll try to copy and give you the link. What are the types of questions that can come from this topic? See, this topic you can expect questions like what is the parts of speech, or like what is the noun, different parts of noun. Okay, things like that, or how you have actually sample questions at the end of the paper, end of this chapter. Just a minute. See, like this. Okay, complete a particular statement, or question marks. Okay, how a sentence is being completed, which word will you use, fill in the blanks. Okay, so all these things will be given here where they are trying to understand whether you know that particular concept or not. Okay, so these will be the questions in which it will be asked for. Whether are you using that particular word completely well, whether the parts of speech are you understanding. Okay, all those things is what we are going to check in this particular topic. Then will the class also provide practical questions? No, we don't provide. We are just completing the questions. Ma'am, will the questions come easy or tough? It depends how you understood. Thank you. The class was informative. Thank you. What is your YouTube channel name? It's not. What is the YouTube channel name? ICSI. Okay. Syllabus, what it will be covered, we'll try to cover as much as possible. Okay. How much ever possible, every day 1 or 2 chapters, and we will try to clear it. Okay. A principal clause is the actual clause what comes as the first main item, and like this is a beautiful apple tree. Then after that, the subordinate clauses will be this is being grown in Srinagar, this is being shipped from Srinagar to Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. Okay, so all these things will be considered as my subordinate clauses. Okay, everything about again classes. Okay. What is the difference between should and shall? This basically depends on how a statement is being used. Based on that, shall and will be utilized. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow we'll have the next class. Highlighted PDF, it can't be shared because it is an editable format, which is a paid version, which I have taken up. So it can't be shared with you. Even if I share, it'll be empty for you. It won't open up. Okay, somebody has shared the link already. I think this is the link. Thank you, Shakra. Okay, that's your YouTube channel link. Okay, sure. Thank you. We will just meet you again for tomorrow's class. Thanks for today's class. Okay. We will have anyway one class which is just a doubts clearing session that we'll have it on that particular day. Okay. Thank you so much. All classes is available on YouTube. Yes, all classes are available. You can check there again if you want a detailed one. This is just a quick recap what we are doing as of now. Okay. Thank you. But YouTube is entirely different. Actually, we have only 4 or 5 recordings there. Few recordings are missed out. I don't know why. But here, since we are doing it from the beginning, okay, all your classes will be covered. But YouTube, you will miss out. All entire 8 chapters are not there in YouTube channel. Okay. So you can come back tomorrow. We will just meet up again. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'll end the session.